Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday weather outlook for the southern region brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, our attention is going to go pretty far south at the beginning of this video, specifically here in the Bay of Campeche off the Yucatan Peninsula. We're watching here some very deep convection, and this is what is now known as Tropical Depression number 3. Now, outside of that, for much of our southern region over the coming days, widely scattered showers and storms. Otherwise, a lot of folks are going to be relatively dry. It's going to take about a week for this mess to get into the Gulf, get organized, and eventually make it to our southern shores. And the big unknowns are where this is going to go. We do know two things. That is, the environment is quite conducive. Notice the above average ocean temperatures that are in the Gulf of Mexico, which will be supportive for helping this system to develop. And a new map we're going to have to start looking at quite a bit here is the one that you see over there on the right. It's looking at wind shear, bulk wind shear. So wind shear is a change of wind speed and direction with height. And just remember that hurricanes thrive well in very low wind shear environments. In other words, while they themselves spin violently, the environment in which they live needs to be quite calm. And wherever you see the bluer colors represents the lower wind shear environment. So as we just look out here over the next 8 or 9 days as the system moves through the Gulf, we do see that the environment over which it's going to be moving is relatively calm. So the National Hurricane Center early this morning on Tuesday is still Tropical Depression number 3, although we are anticipating, given the strength of the convection that is down there, the thunderstorms that are down there, that this will quickly be intensifying to tropical storm status, which means getting its wind speeds up over that 38 mile an hour threshold. And then you notice the cone as we go all the way up to Sunday. I mean, it just doesn't move much. It just basically is going to get into this direction. And so the possibilities of a future path is anywhere from Texas to Florida. Remember, this particular system is going to have most of its moisture on its right-hand side. We need to see what that means in terms of the track and where that heaviest precipitation is going to go. So I want to show you a couple of different maps here. This is the European model latest forecast for the projected track of this system, and it's bringing it somewhere here along the coast of Texas and Florida. It's no point in me trying to show you what strength of the models have it at right now. That'll be very inconsistent. But I would like to show you the forecast difference between the European, which is here, and then watch, this will be the GFS. Notice the GFS is a bit more to the east. It has it going more toward like New Orleans, somewhere there right along the Louisiana-Mississippi border as the main track. But then in general, something like this, you can see that kind of in both models, right? Trying to do something like that overall. It's just where they're positioned at this point. So neither model right now is going to have the most accurate prediction on the path, but I will tell you that the European model, the one you're looking at here, historically, statistically, has the best track record at predicting the paths of these systems. But remember, this is going to be a lot about the flooding potential out of this. We need to be talking about those rains. So we're looking at it 3 ways. This is from the Weather Prediction Center. So this is a curated map from the National Weather Service where their meteorologists combined with multiple modeling suites puts together a forecast for us. And what we see here is that the moisture point, I just want to kind of outline it for you because you can see while there's a huge push of moisture coming over toward Florida, it appears that you can see the favored track here through the next 7 days coming probably along the Texas-Louisiana border. So remember, these systems can be asymmetric. They can have more of their moisture on one side, which is what I think we're going to be seeing here. To look specifically at the European model, we do notice that, right? So there's that track you saw. It's in the operational model, not just in the ensembles. In fact, let me draw that a little clearer, maybe doing something a bit more like this. But notice the big push of moisture here that could get all the way to the panhandle of Florida, from Louisiana all the way over to the panhandle of Florida. Very, very wet conditions. The questions remain how much of this moisture gets into the southeast as we work our way into week 2, because this map goes out 1 full week, and that's all the farther north this very slow-moving system, which I think this morning was moving at 2 miles an hour net speed. That's all the farther it's going to get over the next week. Now, let me get those drawings off there because I want to go straight from this map, which is the operational European model from this morning, to now what the GFS has. So you can see that the GFS is bringing quite a bit more moisture, much more intense thunderstorm activity here over to the east than what the European was doing. It appears at this point that if you are west of the line that I just drew here, outside of just some pop-up storms that are going to be only predictable maybe 10-12 hours in advance, things are looking relatively dry, and until this gets here, much of our southern region is relatively dry. So in terms of severe weather over the next few days, while we do have a general thunderstorm risk across a broad part of our southern region, the severe weather actions to the north, largely due to kind of protective high atmospheric pressure that's over the south right now. I can animate for you what the high resolution models are picking up on as we work our way out into early morning on Thursday. And in general, as you watch this, you can see the widely scattered showers that were early this morning coming up here in this section of our southern region. And then throughout the afternoon heating, you just see the atmosphere starting to pop. This is very normal convective activity for this time of year. As we move forward through the overnight hours on Tuesday into Wednesday morning, we might want to watch right here on the lower Mississippi River Valley, south of Memphis, right here in this part of Arkansas, Mississippi, for maybe some stronger storms. This is not well resolved at this point, but just the potential for that there. And then you can start to see the northern edge of that moisture plume coming out here. So by 3 p.m. on Tuesday, yep, we still just pop with thunderstorms. We're going to watch outflow from the thunderstorms to come racing here across the Corn Belt, possibly press into this destabilized atmosphere down here. Florida gets the first big push of tropical moisture, but then just keep an eye on the outflow of these thunderstorms Wednesday night, getting into Thursday morning. I mean, the current models are trying to take the outflow of some storms that come through here on Wednesday and just shove them through Missouri, bringing, look at this, it's traveling, actually, watch it again, from kind of northwest to southeast. That's a rare view of the path of some thunderstorms. So we'll keep an eye on that to see if that does materialize, but could be some locally heavy rainfall. From there, I want to get over to the European model. Let's get a better clue on this. So see that high pressure cell dominating early this morning, just the scattered showers that were in this area early. As we play this forward, let's step back and watch some of the pieces. Working our way out into Wednesday morning, again, each day just our chance of widely scattered storms. So most of you will probably see on your forecast apps or whatever you choose to use, 30% chance of storms. You're very familiar with what that means in our warm season. So we get into Wednesday night. Now let's get into Thursday morning, okay? Again, just see the scattered storms in through this region and the first push of moisture coming into Florida, southern Georgia, southern Alabama, Now as we play this forward, let's just watch to see, this is Thursday evening, widespread scattered showers and storms here. Let's just see where this tropical system ends up going. So see it here. I'm just going to say this one last time. You're going to just see the chances of storms every day in this area as we press through the end of this week. So the tropical system is, by Saturday afternoon and evening, finally in the central part of the Gulf of Mexico. While that's occurring, a much deeper trough is pulled into the northwest, and that will be critical, the timing of this trough as it comes sweeping through, as to how far to the west this particular system gets. It appears that by the time this system brings in its main frontal boundary, which will be here, that it's going to help advect this system or pull this system, more toward the Texas-Louisiana coast. Now, please do not look at this and go, holy cow, look at those isobars. This is one model run. No, it is not clued in on the strength of this system, but it does take it right up. You can see where it's going. And it eventually ends up in my home state of Illinois. In fact, this would be incredible if this verified to go right over the top of me. I live right here, just in case y'all didn't know. All right, so we'll watch this very, very carefully. That seems to be the current track and how things are set up. Looking out here at day 10, I want to show you something from the GFS, which is what I just circled, and the European. Both are favoring a trough in this area, which is going to kick out this pattern and allow it to kind of push on through. And it'll be that trough, which will start in the northwest, that will eventually take this system and run it on off in this direction. But the GFS also has something else sneaking into Florida in the meantime. That's quite interesting. So this brings a bit of a cool down in the pattern as we work our way toward the middle of June. It's also the thing that kicks out the tropical system, all right? What I'm talking about is right here. When looking at the GFS ensemble all the way out to Sunday, June 14th, we continue to see that behind that trough I just showed you, where higher pressure builds in here, another weak tropical system might possibly be coming over Florida. It's up in the air. I just want to point it out to you right now because the week 2 precipitation always June 9th through the 16th. You can see all of this here in the GFS, but it is not there in the European. All right, the European is much slower with that broader trough, which is coming through like this, and therefore still pulling on the moisture here and very stormy weather here into week 2 inside the area that I just circled. But with the GFS being much quicker with the trough, it wants to bring drier air into this area. And this is why my reports have just been consistent here, telling you there's inconsistency. We don't have anything set in stone, even for week 2 at this point, when it comes to the precipitation patterns. It's all based on the speed of that trough. That's what we're going to have to watch most carefully. All right, one thing I do know is that the heat that's coming again today is helping to really crank up evaporation rates in this section. So if you get over here into parts of New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, we're looking at evaporation rates here that could exceed 2 to 3 inches over the next week. And that's because once again today we've got high temperatures in this area deep into the 90s. In fact, we're going to see 90s clear up into Wisconsin. Quite warm here. Heat advisories out for the Central Valley of California, but overall, we see that along the coast, we're seeing, a lot of upper 80s, which technically is cooler than average. Well, let's get those drawings off there and play this one forward so you can see how things change from here into the day on Wednesday. Watch that again with me. There we go. And Wednesday's high temperatures, a lot of 90s in Texas, upper 80s across the rest of our southern region. This is Thursday. Now remember, this is when the thunderstorms really started to come in here and the moisture and cloud cover into Florida. So that's why you see the cooler weather there. But we may be seeing triple-digit heat right here on the Texas-Oklahoma panhandles. And that is a signal for those high evaporation rates. Working our way into Friday, same story. Very hot in this area. Cooler where the cloud cover sits over the southeast. As we play this out to Saturday and into Sunday and then next Monday, we don't see much of a break overall in the heat in this region. So when does that break get there? Well, it's not going to be through the next 10 days. Both the GFS and the European keeping this pattern quite consistent here with that slow-moving trough coming in. See it there? So they're pretty well timed through about day 8 or 9 on that trough. It's where it goes after that that's quite different. So you can see that the GFS bringing in that much deeper trough quicker, and the European not so deep in its overall how far to the south it penetrates, but still a broad cooler sector into this area, which means the southern region going to get a break from the heat, the extreme heat, especially over there in parts of Texas, as we work our way toward the middle of June. All right, long range just came out this morning, well, actually late last night. This is some of the key ideas. Feel free to pause the video and take a look at it. I'm just going to make a point here. I buy the temperature forecast over here on the right. I do see this as the likely scenario with slightly above average temperatures. I'm most concerned about warm overnight lows and warmer the west you go. What I don't buy in is this precipitation pattern, and the reason why, I don't think that the models will have any idea what kind of things can happen in the tropics, and therefore they're never going to be represented because we can't forecast more than about 5 to 8 days in advance. So what you see there in dry, this is not a pattern. There's no big subtropical ridge that's given us drought. Okay, so we're going to watch the tropics carefully. We'll stop right there. Have a great rest of your week. Look forward to giving my long range update tomorrow. Have a good one. Thank you.